Yeah, well, I understand I got a lot on my mind, a lot on my chest. That's why.
What's going on, everybody? It's Lloyd with Midnight Comics, and welcome to another episode of Indie Breakdown, where we break down your favorite indie comic book characters' power, stats, and abilities, and determine who's going to win an indie versus matchup. We got a epic guest that's joining us today, and we're winding down at the end of season 2 here. Very excited for what's to come. But anyway, like I said, very awesome guest. I'm gonna go ahead and bring him on. Why it sound like I cut myself off? What's going
Yeah,
on,
nah,
Paul?
it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, just put on the sweater because it's a little cold in my house.
Oh no, you're good. Same.
Yeah. So, name is Rodney Jean Etienne. I basically have my stuff is called Isorod Studios. I basically have a YouTube channel. Also stream on Twitch. A while back, I was streaming on Twitch. Isorod, and the comics come out under what do you call it? Char Comics. And right now, I've aligned my comic book characters from Char. I pushed them into the Powerverse with Vince's permission. So Vince White, the creator of the Powerverse. So now, if upcoming issues, whenever I put the stuff out, it's gonna have Powerverse. So they're actually connected into Powerverse right now.
Nice. And what characters are you bringing to the Indie Breakdown today?
Indie Breakdown are kind of like my two flagship characters, or my flagship character plus his significant other, Bluejay and Leopard. And the way the characters work out is he basically was back in 2011 or so, or 2009. I was thinking of, hey man, what if I created I wanted to do tutorials on how to do comics itself and how to basically set up panels and action and using other comic books as references. So I created a character who was basically Batman, but what if he was bird theme instead of bat theme? And that's what Bluejay was for. And basically, Leopard was his Catwoman, but instead of her being a thief, she was a fighter. So that was like the whole thing. Like the whole universe in my mind was called the throwaway universe. And then at the time, my wife was like, "So would it be real funny you put this stuff online and then somebody just takes it?" So I went into the process of, before launching my website with all these characters, I copyrighted the story and I created Bluejay and the Rush from it.
Mm-hmm. That's
Yeah,
not bad. Okay.
yeah. So that's how they basically came into being.
And you beat me to the punch, because that's actually exactly my first question over the times. Like, what was kind of the initial inspiration for some of these characters? So that's perfect.
Yeah,
Tell me this, and we'll start. We'll do ladies first. Tell
yeah.
us about Leopard. What all can Leopard do?
So Leopard, she was in my mind, the way I originally designed her was she was supposed to be a cross between Taskmaster and Wolverine. Um, so the abilities that she has is she's a tactile muscle mimic. So anything
Okay.
she sees done before her, she can reproduce and copy back right back at you. And she
Mm-hmm.
also has the ability to, like, say, if you had detailed photographs or you had like really well written instructions where she could see them, she could
Mm-hmm.
literally still perform it as if she watched you physically mimic it in front of her. So just like Taskmaster, you do something, she can reproduce it. And then her healing factor is really high too. So the way it happens with her, her origin is the original one, what I did was her and her kid brother were hanging out. Some dudes cornered them and they basically attacked them. He got hurt real bad. And while she was trying to fight these dudes off, she got stabbed in her kidney. Like, she didn't stop him, but she, instead of like being killed from that or being as
Mm-hmm.
injured as her brother was, she got, by the time she got to the hospital, she was completely fine.
Oh
So
wow.
that's how she realized she's like, that's not normal. In the revised story, I kind of changed it a little bit. She was always a skilled athlete and stuff like that. She loves gymnastics and everything. So she was like, she was on the Olympic team in the Beijing Games,
Uh huh.
and she actually came in as a silver medalist. She never realized how her powers worked. So she was just performing to the best of her ability. It's just that they always saw she could learn things quicker. But while she was in that Olympics, she was watching the judo team and she just fell in love with fighting in general. And then she started becoming really interested in becoming a actual martial artist. And she, with her parents' permission, she went back into China and
Hmm.
she found this monastery of really amazing monks who are like chi specialists, and they
Hmm.
said like, you have the leopard chi, and she's like, the leopard chi. And I started looking up how leopards work in certain African stories and Chinese stories. One of the things leopards can do in those stories is kind of copy. They're fast. They have a lot of things
Mm.
to do. So not trying, just reading other stuff, there's a connection with it. So that idea came from Vince. So because
Hmm.
I also have one of the guys she trains with, he's called Eno the Sage,
Hmm.
and he has the monkey chi. And then if you know your Dragon Ball, if you know your Dragon
Hmm.
Quest,
Sun
he's
Wukong.
basically, yeah, he's basically the Monkey King, like a human incarnation of the Monkey King in this universe. So that's how I feel.
Jesus.
But her and him are the number one and number two fighters in the universe. Like if you were talking hand to hand combatants, he's like number one, but like she's number two, and their fights break down to like 60-40. He wins 60% of the time, she'll win 40. She's one of the only people who can consistently beat him in a fight.
Well, so she's the second strongest person in the verse.
Fighting wise, yeah.
Fight. Oh,
As we're
second.
talking
So
hand to
like,
hand combatants, yeah.
got you. So kind of like if I were to use a mainstream example, how like Lady Shiva is like the
Yeah.
most skilled martial artist. Got you.
Yeah, she's like she would be the Lady Shiva in my mind, also the Wonder Woman, because Wonder Woman actually holds that title too in DC. If you ever heard of it, she's like
Okay.
the strongest fighter, literally, out of all of like the superhumans. She's like the best fighter. That's how Wonder
Okay.
Woman's actually set in DC.
So let me ask this. So we've got five. So the Olympic team. What was she in the Olympic team? What was she competing as?
Gymnast,
Was
gymnast.
gymnast. Okay. Just want to make sure I got that. So gymnast, and then eventually from there joined a judo team, then
Well,
trained at
she just loved fighting in general, and because of the way
Okay.
her leopard chi works, any technique she sees, like here's the problem with her. If you're fighting her, the longer the fights last, the most it's more likely you're gonna lose. You want to take her out as quick as possible, but she has a healing factor. So if you were gonna knock her out, boop, she pops right back up. So if you cannot stop her like right in the beginning and you fight for a good like 10 minutes, you'll be on the floor in 10 minutes. You'll feel completely fine and she's not straining herself. So she's good.
Okay. So let me ask this then. So we've got healing factor. We the inherent abilities, right? The healing
Mhm,
factor, the muscle mimic, and of course the training to back it up. Let me
mhm.
ask about her strength. How strong is she?
Because of the way her body works and the way she can actually heal and tear tissue and stuff like that, she's definitely stronger than a normal human, maybe like 2 to 3 times stronger than another human. And then if you throw in adrenaline and if you also throw in manipulating chi and stuff like that, she can produce superhuman effects. But if you were talking about can she lift a car, hell no. That's not what she can do.
Okay.
She can dodge it though, but she can't catch it. So that's a difference.
Okay.
And
And
another,
I'm looking away because I'm taking notes. So don't.
yeah, no, don't worry about it. And then one special, also weird feature she always had since she was a kid, she only needs to sleep between 2 to 4 hours to be completely rested. Like people need 8 hours of sleep. She needs around two, and she's good to go. So that's one of her special things that she can do.
And forgive me. What is her actual name?
Her name is Roberta McDuffie.
Roberta. Yes. Duh.
Yeah, and the way that came about is it's the way McDuffie and what was the other guy's name? Dwayne McDuffie, and she's Roberta, and he's she has a cousin who's a character of mine too, and his
Hmm.
name is Dwayne
They
Robinson.
were in I Hero when it was talking about it, right?
Yeah, yeah. The reason he's a important character too because I took the two names of the characters and then I just flipped them. Like I took their first names and turned them into last names, and last names and turned them into first name. And the guy whose name was Robert something, and I just don't remember what was the last part of it because I have it like looked at. Let me look. I have the book here because I have their names like written down in Bluejay in the Rush number 2. And for
Hmm.
some stupid reason is like it's not coming to me. His name
No.
is Dwayne Washington. So the guy's name was Robert Washington
Robert Washington. Okay.
and Dwayne McDuffie. So the way her cousin's named Dwayne Washington and she's named Roberta McDuffie. So
Okay.
that's the thing. And it had to do with Static because those guys did Static Shock. So it's like a milestone homage. Like that's the same reason why Bluejay's name is Virgil.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Little homages there. Okay. Let me ask this. So you said that she can react to thrown cars. Is that the limit of her kind of perception and reaction speed, or is that
No,
kind of just a casual kind of reaction?
well, let's say if you see like a martial artist who's very good reflexes and he can dodge and he can manipulate and whatever, the way her body works is so let's say she's running an obstacle course, right? She'll run the
Hmm.
obstacle course and she does it really good because she's a gymnast and she has all these other skills that she has, right? And I
Hmm.
blindfold her and make her run the same obstacle course. Her body will remember the whole layout of the course and will find the most optimal way to make her move through it faster. Like
Mm.
blind fighting is not a thing for her. Like she can sense if she's in an area and she's been in the area for a couple of minutes. It's sort of like Toph from what do you
From
call
Avatar.
it? From Avatar. Her body does the same thing. It's radiating out a field where it's catching every nook and cranny of a room she's in. If she comes back into the room, even if you put a bunch of shit in it, whatever, she still has the room mapped out in her body. Her body still can manipulate and react and move within that space. So
Okay.
it's it's a special thing. It's like it's in her write out, but I haven't used. There's a story I wrote called Demon Seed. The late oh my god, Jordan was it Wilson? I can't remember Jordan's last name. Winston Jordan. Duh. So
Uh,
Winston Jordan, he basically created a character named Medora and
hmm.
it's a character from his Dragon Trio story, and I wrote a whole 40-page story of those two. I had mapped out the first 20 pages, like laid out the whole thing, but like this, it's called the Demon Seed of a character I created, and
Hmm.
that's where you see a lot of her stuff, like her healing factor gets shown, and a lot of shit like that gets shown because
Okay.
you see the tactile muscle mimic. You see if I fought you once, you fight me again. That shit ain't gonna work. So I did a lot of that stuff in there.
Okay. And so, just to make sure, because again, diving into an indie versus eventually here with her, is she able to dodge bullets or anything of that nature?
I mean, the way I make people dodge bullets is not because you're super fast. You're dodging the reaction of the other person in front of you, right?
Okay.
She's considerably the fastest of the three of them. Like if you were looking at her cousin, he's a hero called Cardinal.
Hmm.
Bluejay and her formed a team called the Three.
Hmm.
Their biggest, what do you call it, thing that they did, their big accomplishment was they got rid of all the corruption within the police departments and they actually got rid of a lot of organized crime in the area, like those three together. Out of the three of them, the person with the superhuman reflexes and who's like a triathlete and everything like that is
Hmm.
Cardinal. If all three of them were in a foot race, Cardinal would beat them hands down.
Really?
Cardinal can outrun both of them easy. The funny thing is, Bluejay can keep up with street traffic, like Captain America and Winter Soldier and Black Panther when they were running in the street.
Hmm.
Bluejay can do that, but that dude's faster than Bluejay.
Is
And
Leopard faster than Blue Jay?
Leopard is in between the two of them. She's like right behind her cousin, but Bluejay's the slowest of the three. And
Okay.
there's a reason for that too, but he's the slowest of the three.
Noted. Okay. And then, all right, really quick then. So we've got her speed, we have her reaction. Durability is pretty crazy because she has the healing factor.
Healing
But
factor. Yeah.
yeah, what is kind of the upper limit to that she's had to deal with?
It's
Right?
God tier. Like I say omni god like, so she's damn near immortal. Like if you were to chop off her head, she'd die. If you put her head back next to her body, she'd come back to life. So
Holy crap.
the best way to kill her is to disintegrate her head or her heart. Like I mean disintegrate like her head. And then yeah, the brain's not there no more. Yeah, that shit ain't gonna work. Like that's her upper limit. It's disintegration. Like she ain't coming back from that. I don't
Oh,
know. I haven't figured out if you cut off a limb, would it Deadpool regenerate? I never tried, but it's up to a writer. Like if they wanted to, like her hand got disintegrated, and then all of a sudden and shit, she's like, "Oh my God, I lost my hand. I lost my hand." And all of a sudden, like, "God, it's itching. My arm's itching like crazy." And her hand started growing back. Yeah, it can happen.
Uh-huh.
It's just not what I thought it could be. Again, a writer can make it happen. I can make it happen if I want to. But in
Yeah.
my mind, disintegration is her upper limit.
So I even put a side note. I immediately thought Immortal from Invincible in regards to how the
Yes.
kind of
Yeah.
getting put back together.
Yeah, she like that.
Okay.
And this is the upgraded version of her because she wasn't that her healing factor wasn't that great. I just when I power versed her, I pushed her up in power level, so she's
Okay.
a bit stronger now.
So only the disintegration is going to stop her. Now, without the healing factor, she's still like a regular person where she will be pierced by be getting stabbed.
Oh,
She will
she
be.
get cut all the time. She bleeds a
Okay.
lot. That all of that stuff happens. It's like it's just that it heals so quickly, it doesn't really matter. So in the greater scheme of things, it hurts when it happens. It's like that hurt a lot, but it's healing like soon as after it happens. Like the pain goes away real quick. Like she can go into a burning building, get burned, and then in about like 5 to 10 minutes, everything will be back to normal. The pain would have been there, but she still can walk away from it.
Okay. And so, just to review really quick, we've got the inherent abilities, we've got the muscle mimic, we've got the healing factor. We know she's a skilled fighter. She's trained at a monastery with the human equivalent of Sun Wukong.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we've got the healing factor, which is immortal levels if we're going to use a mainstream
Yep,
from
yep.
Invincible.
Mm-hmm.
Able to run faster than speed traffic if we're scaling in comparison
Yep.
to Bluejay, and is the second best martial artist in the
In that unit,
verse.
in the world, yeah, in the verse, yep.
That's okay. This is a solid team up. We had somebody on in season 1 who has a character that's almost like a baby version, if you would, of
I got
Roberta. It's a character named Shannon Noble from the story Scrap.
you.
And
Right.
so she unlocks an ability called the Formless State. And if I'm not mistaken, it's been a second, but if I'm not mistaken, they access this ability by essentially fighting the goddess of battle. But
Nice.
very similar to how Roberta is now with the being able to mimic the abilities and stuff like that. However, she gets burnt out. So think Ultra Instinct from like mix
From
the Sharingan with Ultra Instinct. Like so
gotcha.
she can copy the ability stuff like that, but again, it wears on the body like a KO can, right? Where it's just like after
See,
a while they're getting
that's why
burnt
that
out.
healing factor is
So
important.
now like right. But now with Roberta, like she doesn't have any of those stipulations. She just can do that already.
And
And then with the healing factor, it's a wrap. It's an
so
absolute wrap.
the fun part about her too is it's because remember in Super Team, there's also her opposite, which is her evil doppelganger, which
No
is
leopard.
Rebecca McDuffie, Snow Leopard. And Snow Leopard's bits that are a little bit different than her was it's a rage thing too. Like if she smells blood or she gets blood in sight, she gets stronger. So that's one of the concepts that like what when Snow Leopard and Leopard fights, Leopard is wondering, can I do that shit too? Like, is that a thing? It's not something she thinks about, but
Hmm.
one of the things when she was younger, the reason she got into gymnastics and doing a lot of other stuff is it was known she had like an anger issue when she was a kid, right? So
Mm.
one of the reasons she went into structured um, sports is because it's to help her deal with her anger, to help her focus, to help her be able to channel her energy out. And fighting is freaking tastic for that too. Specifically, it requires skill, dedication, and focus to be a really good fighter. So
I'm taking note of that. May gain a boost when angered.
yeah, because it's a snow leopard thing. It's not a leopard thing, but
The
the
possibilities.
besides their names being slightly different, they're very very similar. And the thing is, Rebecca was a track star, and Leopard was a gymnast, and that's another thing that's a little bit different from them. But yeah, Snow Leopard also gives you some insight on how else. So the fact that she's an excellent hand to hand combatant
Mm,
because of the mimicry power, she's also pretty good with most weapons she sees too.
mm. Let me put that down. So we can might as well say weapons expert at this point.
Yeah,
Mostly with, I'm assuming, not firearms necessarily, but your
but
bows and your.
but if you think about it, right? the way firearms work. Also, when you're taking a shot like a sniper, right? You're supposed to take
Mhm.
your shot when you're basically inhaling and on the part where your heart like just stop contracting, like in between a heartbeat. So
Mhm.
like if she watches that motion and she studies it, yeah, she can take a shot like a sniper. I don't know if her aim will be there, but she'll have the exact proper form. Also, if a person holds a gun a specific way to shoot, she understands how to hold a gun and have proper form. Again, her aim may not be there, but the mechanics of the action is perfect the way it's supposed to be. But when
So
you come
aim
to
may be off, technique could still be there though.
yeah, technique would be spot on, but I don't know how skilled she would be at that. But like archery though, that would be a little bit different. Again, it's technique would be perfect. It's just can I hit the shots like a Hawkeye could? Maybe not.
Right.
But I could definitely fire
Okay.
that bow really well.
Let me ask this then. So we're gonna transition now from leopard
Hmm.
to Bluejay, and this is gonna be already because obviously we got to see a little bit of what Bluejay is able to do
Hmm.
through the series and stuff. This team up is insane.
Yeah.
First off, this team up is gonna be insane, but very similar questions. I want to know, of course. We already said his name a second ago was Virgil. What was his last name?
Avis. Basically, it's
Avis.
also Avis has to do with birds. I actually looked that up too.
Okay. What can Bluejay do?
All right. So Bluejay is just think Batman, but what if he was superpowered? So the way Bluejay basically works is he's super strong, he's super durable, and he's always had something known as an enhanced mind, right? So
Mm,
since he was young, he could always see he has like psychic sight. So he could always see something if it was invisible, if it was a spirit or disembodied, he could see that.
okay.
Another thing that he also has is his mind has the ability to be partitioned, right? So it's the
Uh huh.
partitioned mind, to have the mind concentrating on one thing, but there's another side of it set aside. That's really important for him because it's one of the other abilities that he has that helps him be like really strong. So his family has a guardian spirit that he's nicknamed it. He called them his what do you call it? His inner demon. And the
Hmm.
way it basically works is because of that partition mind, the second consciousness can sit in there comfortably. But let's say if there was an evil spirit there that was like um, possessing a body, if there was a way to get the spirit out, he could actually trap it in his head. The concept is like a hulu, which is what I found out what hulu meant, which means jar. So his
Uh huh.
mind is a jar for spirits, and he's able to trap them. And because his mind is so powerful, the spirits can't dominate him. He actually traps them in a portion of his mind, and they can't do anything. So
Holy. Yeah.
that's like the big power. And the reason all of the other powers came about is that there's a guardian spirit that's been with his family. This is the new version of his what do you call it? His origin. And
Origin story. Yeah.
yeah, so this guardian spirit was a watcher from the Omni gods. He was a watcher known as Leo, basically, which is Leopa, which means leopard
Uh huh.
in Creole. And this guy, you see what's so funny though? He was a leopard
Leopard.
watcher spirit.
Yeah.
And what he was doing is he was the guy who was like chronicling everything and all the stuff that they watched throughout the Omniverse or through the Indieverse. He's chronicling it and it's being pushed into the Celestial Library.
Hmm.
Now, the thing that happens is he breaks a cardinal rule in Kim Kimule, which is the name of the highest upper plane where the gods live, um,
Hmm.
the immortal plane, and he's basically punished. And because of that rule he broke, they basically destroyed his body and they sent his spirit out into what do you call it, into the lower dimensions. The
Hmm.
funny thing I just did with the story is the same time that he was being knocked out and he was being sent away, the quantum wave or that matter density wave from the
Yeah.
power verse was also traveling. So that density wave pushed him into the universe that Bluejay's in. And he was first with Bluejay's father. And during 9/11, in this world, it wasn't planes or whatever, it was a major terrorist attack. his father went back in to go save people, and what the guardian spirit, he has become really jaded. He was really upset, like he got thrown out of his, he lost his immortality. He's been trapped with humans. At first he really wanted to help the people he was with, but along the way he stopped caring. And what Bluejay's father asks is like, if my son is here and I don't want him to die, he's like, can you, he goes, I want you to save him. Instead of like making him go there to save him, he's like, fine. He goes, I have to leave you though, right? And he's like, whatever it takes, I need my boy to live. So his father basically loses the guardian spirit. He's a hero. He saved a bunch of people, but he loses the guardian spirit, and the guardian spirit goes to him. Bluejay is like despondent after the terror attack. Same concept in the United States. Same thing. A war happens because of the people who attacked it. So the U.S. wants to attack them. And while he was there, he basically he's a driver in the military, and RPG is about to hit his truck, and then the guardian spirit says, I can't help you if you let me. And he's like, fine, help me. So what he does is he transforms his body. He basically makes him super dense. So Bluejay, even though he's like 6'2", he weighs like 350 pounds. His skin is so dense that like if you was to shoot him with a normal firearm, it just bounced right off. It can't pierce his skin. So most things can't cut him. Most things, whatever. He's got a hardened skin. For you to be able to break his skin, you have to shoot him with like an armor piercing bullet. Like what would break armor piercing, that's what can break his skin with a firearm. His strength, I think in the indie deck, he's registered as can lift a skyscraper, which is probably much stronger than I have him. But my base level for you to think about his strength is he's about a 15. He can lift 15 tons without like breaking a sweat. So it's like, whatever, like easy to lift that without having an issue. But from what I understand is if you start scaling him to a Superman, Homelander, Omni-Man, he's kind of weak. Like I found out Homelander is a 480 tonner. Bluejay is like maybe a 40 to 50 tonner at best. So he'd be considered weak on that scale. But compared to Batman, Bluejay can rip that dude apart in half with his bare hands. Also, Bluejay speed, he's about as fast as speed traffic. So if a car's going about 40, 50 miles per hour, Bluejay can run and keep track with that. The animation I just did, he can do super jumps. Like you see Batman would use the cable and stuff like that to get to an area. Bluejay can take a running start and then jump a good like 200 yards and up and over comfortably. So that's one of the things I wanted to do with him. And then his brain, that enhanced mind. So Bluejay has the ability to anything he wants to learn. If he focuses on it for about a week, he can become an expert in that field. His mind works like the Bat computer, right? So instead of having a computer to do all that good stuff, he has the ability, like a profiler, to come into a scene, start looking at it, and then start running the scenarios of what probably happened there. If he watches a person for 5 to 10 minutes, he can start predicting like how they're going to behave, especially if they were fighting. He can basically just dive out of the way and you wouldn't even be able to hit him. But that's all working with his ability, calculated certainty. The problem, like I told you, calculated certainty, I was explaining to you before, is it's 92% accurate. Like he's almost 100% right. But when it falls into the 8% category, it's catastrophic. Like, so let's see if he was trying to do something where he's going to take a car, he's going to move it out of the way. And he calculated, if I do this and whatever, I should be able to get the people out and nobody will get hurt. If he falls within that 8% chance, instead of moving the car out and saving all these people, the whole car explodes, kills about 20 people, and a building starts to collapse because it was structurally unsound. Because when the car hit into it, now it was not secure. As he pulled it out, the explosion just caused the building to collapse. And if there were people in there, more people die. Like shit goes real bad. People die if he fucks up. And that's one of the things like I wanted to do in some of the stories I'm going to write. He works on it. He's always trusting it until he starts seeing the ramifications. Like if he messes up, it's too dangerous for you to always be using that. what you got to understand is sometimes assess the situation and figure out the best course of action. Be strategic about your actions. You don't have to always just use your power to see if that situation
Yeah.
is going to go certainly. So it's something I want to do because it's the same problem with Flash time. Flash got to the point where he got so dependent on being able to think all the possibilities through before he acted that he wind up one time standing there too long and got shot in the face because he was thinking it through.
Oops.
It's because you have the ability to run scenarios over and over and over again, and if you start looking for the best scenario instead of just doing what you got to do,
You get that tunnel vision.
yeah, you stop focusing on what's important, and you're basically now just trying to always get the best result, and that's not how it's supposed to work. But like I said, it works to his advantage more than it doesn't. In the earlier issues or earlier stories I'm going to do, he counts on it a lot. It's just when the first catastrophic thing happens, he starts realizing, oh my God, this is super dangerous. This can't be the way I run or I go through my situations. It's just way too dangerous. But yeah,
Let
and
me ask this: does he have a healing factor at all?
yeah, because of the way it works is the guardian spirit in his head is a god of knowledge. That's basically what a watcher is. He basically knows a lot of things. Like some of the stuff he learns about magic and some of the spells that he knows is because the god of knowledge imparted that on him. One of the cool things about it is, let's say if you were able to knock him out, the god of knowledge would still be completely aware of everything going on around him. And since he doesn't have eyes and whatever, he could also, in certain states, if Bluejay was completely knocked out, kind of re-inhabit the body and make it move. Because Bluejay would not consciously be aware, in control at that period of time. So you'd have the ability to move the body if necessary. Like he's of two minds. He literally has a second brain sitting in there. So one of the things I'm doing later in the stories is he finds a way to, the God of Knowledge explains to him of a spell he can cast where he can push him out of his body and create a new body for him. So he has his own form and he has his own too. So they eventually they separate. I don't keep them. I don't know what issue, I don't know when, but in the future, there ain't nothing in his head. Talking to Vince about it, Vince like, if he basically kept taking demons in his head or stuff like that, he could kind of Ben 10 that bad boy, right? Like he could take those demons in, learn certain things from them, tell them, hey man, if you ever want to get out, don't be a dick, right? So eventually he actually starts to change the behavior of whatever is in his mind. Like he's basically like rehabilitating these creatures. Like the original thing that was in his head was called a proto persona, which was really a young demon that was put into his head in the original universe. It was a secret program being done by the major villains in the story known as the Members, where they were creating hunters that were going to hunt down metahumans, right? And the idea was these proto personas would train these guys while they're sleeping, take over the body while they're not consciously aware of it, but it would train them in skills, give them the ability to infiltrate, murder, and kill, like with expert levels. Bluejay still has that. Like he has all of that. He literally is as stealthy as a ninja. He can break into the most, what do you call it, unpenetrable installations undetected, like you wouldn't even know he was there. He also can disappear like a ghost, just like a ninja could. So he has like all of that stuff. So he's great at infiltration. He's great at that stuff because of the way his brain works and the way he's able to learn stuff. He's able to then apply other skills. That's why I say like he has the ability like a criminal profiler. I toned this down, but this is something that he also can do though, because of the God of knowledge in his head and the ability to manipulate his body. Like I told you, it made him a lot denser and stuff like that. There's certain things like his wife's ability to sleep, or his future wife's ability to only sleep for 2 to 4 hours. He studied on like what is the neurological differences between them, and then he slowly had his body adapt those neurological changes to himself. So he not only needs 2 to 4 hours of sleep. So there's certain things like he learned to do based on on that. The reason he's so strong, there's a TV show called Superhumans with Stan Lee, where there's a guy who's like no bigger than you or I, but he has the ability to take a iron pan and roll it up into like a cylinder. He can take a phone book and rip it in half with his bare hands. The way that works is it's not that he has bigger muscles than anybody else. It's the speed at which his muscles fire creates superhuman force. So I made Bluejay realize like that's how muscles work. So he manipulated his muscles. That's why he's so much stronger. He actually made his muscles stronger. And besides them having all that extra density and suppleness, he's also figured out how to make his muscles fire quicker so he can create that superhuman effect. And that's why he's super strong too. So those are the things. Like one of the things too is Cardinal, which a guy I always mentioned because he was part of the three. He has super rare blood. Like he has a blood type like nobody has. He got injured or he was poisoned with something and he needed a blood transfusion. So when the doctor explained to him like what is the structure of the blood that it needs to be, whatever, Bluejay over like 20 to 30 minutes changed his blood to be a perfect match for him so he could give him a transfusion.
Jesus, what? Hold on.
He can alter his body on a cellular level. He can literally change himself in that way. So the thing is, again, instead of like making it like he back in the days, original Bluejay is actually stronger than current Bluejay because he could literally mimic your power. Because one of the things about his psychic sight is he can see auras around people, and powers all have different aura signatures. Like if you're a person who can do fire, it turns to be a reddish, orange, yellow, basically looks like flames around you. If you're a person who has the ability to like it's a darker energy, but it's shape shifting also, it looks purplish black. And it has to do also, there's a lot of negative emotions connected to it. Like demons are all black, like there's nothing around them. They look like total darkness, their aura. People who are the fire has something to do, it's called soul fire, so that's why it appears that way. Also people who have like really good energy transformation powers and stuff like that, very strong people, golden aura. Like he can see your alignment, he can see your strength level. Back in the days, he could copy that and shift his aura to match other auras to gain your powers. I got rid of that because that shit was too strong. I was just like, too much.
It's too much.
Yeah, I didn't want him to be that strong. And the thing about it too is it would make him a jack of all trade but a master of none. And I didn't want him to do that because as he gains other abilities, it lessens his. So I'm just like, yeah, I don't want that to go that way. I just let it be. He can alter his physical stuff, but he can't change his aura to match up anymore or shit like that. Because it was getting a bit much. And I was thinking like he would be too strong. Like you see, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like if we were having a battle, that's why I don't trash talk anybody because anybody can beat anybody. It's the writer's prerogative. Who beat who? So you know what I'm saying? As long as and if we're gonna roll it at random, I'd rather see if I'm gonna win or I'm gonna lose, and then I can base that on how I'm gonna write the fight. Because if I'm gonna win, yeah, I can figure out a way to beat you. If I'm gonna lose, I can put up a good fight, but I can show you why it get taken out. So that's how I work it in my head.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I got a couple more questions for you before we close out. A couple more. You brought up spells several times. Can you dive into that? What kind of spells does he know?
So it's like demon hunting, because one of the funniest things about the characters are they're dealing with demons, they're dealing with extra dimensional beings, they're dealing with aliens. So they're dealing with like 3 different forms. The way the Rush works or the Rush team works, once that time travel opened up, this is why I'm also putting them in the dot powerverse. Once you can travel interdimensionally, one of the biggest enemies that they're fighting is an alien race who's basically kind of like watchers themselves. And they're fighting demons who've corrupted that alien race and have now infected them. So the biggest things they're fighting is agents of chaos, demonic forces, and aliens. So the reason to bind a demon, to be able to trap a demon, also to dispel a demon, those are the spells that he knows. And in my world, instead of making everything in Latin like you always do. I just make the language of magic in my world is Haitian Creole. So a lot of my
Okay.
spells that I write, I just write them in take words in Creole and just translate them. And I've done it through about 4 stories I've written where people use magic. We don't use Latin. We just use Creole as the base.
That's the base. Okay. So able to dispel demons and stuff.
Yeah, like he knows basic demon warding spells, what do you call it, entrapment spells, um, a demon banishment spell. Like he can lock you in place. He can do stuff like that because, like I said, they deal with demons a lot. So that's one of the reasons.
Okay. And then last one. Well, yeah, last one. Actually, it's three more. The suit.
Mhm.
Can you break down the suit for me? Does that add any kind of extra for him in regards
Yeah,
to ability, strength, or anything? Or
the original suit was just military grade equipment. It was heavy as hell, but since he was so strong, like his
able to move
cape
around it?
used to weigh around like 100 pounds, but it was a special cape called the jump cape, where instead of
Mhm.
using parachutes, the people in this universe they would jump out of an airplane, open up these gigantic wings, and then they would sail or glide into the location they wanted to go to. Right.
Mhm.
So he created a cape out of that thing, and the cloth he used original design was ballistic and everything. Right. But
Okay.
then in the Powerverse, when Vince started creating all these exotic elements. He created Weaver Metal, Aquatic X, Spirit Jimson. I created my own exotic metal. I actually have like 2 or 3. I have Fifth Stone, and I also have what do you call it? Nultanium. So
Uh-huh.
what Nultanium basically is, it's a complete nullifying force. It's invisible. It reflects light. It does everything. But the way it is, you think of it more as an element that was used by a forge of a god, a god forging. What do you call those things? Not an armorer, a blacksmith. A
Yes.
blacksmith of
Okay.
gods are basically manipulating cosmic elements. And one of the stories that part of why Leopold got cast out, one of these celestial blacksmiths were basically not living sentient beings. They were called architects. They were, when the gods needed something, to tell them we need X, Y, and Z, and then this thing would
Mhm.
get to work. One of these architects woke up and it had free will. And knowing that architects can eventually make anything and figure out anything,
Mhm.
basically you ask them for a task and then they'll make it happen. What Leopold was afraid of is if left to his own devices, the architect would basically escape from the immortal plane, but the
Mhm.
damage he would have done to do it would probably have been catastrophic. So he figured out a way for the architect to escape, and by letting the architect escape, he broke a law. And they're like, you got to be punished because that's some bullshit. You can't do that. But at the same time, the creator said, I get why you did it, and because you're probably right, that architect might have destroyed all of creation to escape. That's why I don't think we should kill you. But you can't stay here, so you gotta go. And
Mm.
that was the whole point of the why he got casted out. And when that the rule was for the architect to escape, he had to destroy all of his tools and his anvil. And his anvil was made of the material Noltanium. Basically, how do you take Weaver metal, Spirit Jimson, and all these things, and how do you basically forge them? You need something that can, no matter what force you put on it, it perfectly nullifies it and perfectly handles it, right? So this architect
Mhm.
sets all of his tools, his anvil, and everything, and then he just destroys all of them. By destroying all of them, he opens up a portal. That portal allows him to, he shrinks himself down to about human size because architects are gigantic. And then he moves
Mhm.
to another universe. He's actually another character from somebody else. And I've been explaining that that's who that is. And the guy's like, that's a pretty interesting story. But if it doesn't work out, we have plans for that. I can work that into another story somewhere else. But the idea is when he destroyed all his tools, that sent all of those elements raining out through all of the Indieverse. And that's where a lot of powers come from. So imagine
Mhm.
cosmic elements. Like think of a speedster. What's a speedster? A speedster is basically moving at a very fast rate. He's vibrating and moving quicker than anything else. What if Weaver metal was inside your bloodstream or in your DNA level, and it's constantly being produced? And because of that, that's what gives you speed. But imagine your body was able to produce so much Weaver metal, and it's constantly producing it. And instead of you gaining speed, you gain instantaneous speed. That's what a teleporter does. It's basically
Mm,
a teleporter lets you teleport. Now imagine if a person has Naltanium inside their body, they have the ability to create stuff nullifying fields or nullify other people's powers. I literally have a character called Null. That's what he does. Like he can literally nullify anybody's power while he's near them. And he also has the ability to also nullify forces. So if you fire a bullet at him, he can remove all of the he can nullify the inertia from the bullet to the point where it hits him and it just falls to the ground. Like it touches him and falls to the ground. So that's how powerful like those elements are. So his suit is literally made of Naltanium. It's a Naltanium weave suit. Since Naltanium is invisible and you can't see it, it had to be weaved with other metals. But as Naltanium sits next to something, that thing it gets mixed with gains that property. So what his suit does is it allows him to it he never feels cold anywhere, he never feels hot. He doesn't if you shoot him with a bullet, he had nothing. If you shoot him with an energy beam, he dissipates. The reason he can super jump so far is it kind of nullifies gravity too. If he falls off a building, most of the impact is just dissipated. I had to create something wrong with the Naltanium weave suit because one, if Naltanium nullifies everything, how the fuck do you break it?
right.
How do you ever do anything with it? Naltanium has a weird thing. It can be sliced. That's how the architects work with it. They slice it, right? So
Huh.
the key thing is if he takes slash damage with a knife, right? Because nothing else gets through, Naltanium like kind of amplifies the amount of damage it takes. So it hurts like 10 times more than if I was just to stab you with a normal knife. So if I slash across Naltanium, it cuts through the weave. You probably bleed. It'll seal right back up, but the pain is like way more than it should be. So it's almost like it's debilitating. So Naltanium's only weakness is slash damage. That's it. So that's the only thing he can't take. Head-on bullets, Superman eye beams, cold breath, nothing works. Slash him across the body, Wolverine, God, he feels like you just like ripped him in half. That's how bad it is. So like I always create something wrong with that really ungodly like what do you call it power that thing has. So
Dude,
people
that is,
play to fuck him up.
look, now, like at first, like I was with you where it was like, okay, we're going against certain beings. It's like, it's kind of hard to try to, write some characters versus other characters, right? Because, first off, of course, we can go the step to the writer route. And then the other way, of course, is just, all right, let's take the feats from everybody's stories, the canon stories, if you would. And with that information, see who would win. With the addition of that, I'm like, ooh, now like it just opens up more the amount of people
and
that he can fight against, and
and
I
a
and I
lot more
love that.
people who can hurt him.
Right, right. Now it's like, okay, well, like Made in Japan, right? I remember her from the indie
Yep.
deck. It's like now she might be a problem because she's got the sword, right? But
Yep.
now I think about like Hot Shot or somebody, and I'm like, Bluejay might win that fight. You know what I'm saying? So like
Yeah.
now
Like
it's like, okay,
he has a lot of stuff that he can win. Like he heals faster than normal people. But like, let's say if he really
mm,
wanted to heal fast, like to get healing factor status, he'd have to sit down and concentrate on that, and he can increase his metabolic rate to heal at maybe 10 times the rate that he should. Like he can force a healing factor in, but it's not like leopards that's instantaneous. He has to sit down and think about it. Like then it'll work
mm,
for him, but
has
he's
to focus
nowhere near
really.
as fast as her. He's nowhere near as fast as her. And again, he's way denser and he doesn't take as much damage naturally. And he's slower than her. Like if they're fighting, she knows how to beat him and she's also trained him how to fight. Like he's a better fighter because she's trained him. And because of his strength and the way his body works, his favorite things are like kicks and grapple. Like that's his thing. He can throw punches. He likes to box. He likes to what do you call it, grapple, and he likes to kick. So that's Bluejay's most of his stuff. You see a lot of tackle attacks. You see a lot of punching. You see a lot of kicking, and you'll see like MMA stuff, like when you grab knees, elbows, stuff like that. That's how he fights. Basically, again, take Batman's for like Krav Maga style, like they made him fight when Batman Begins. Take
Yes.
some of that, mix in a little bit of wrestling, and then you actually have more of how Bluejay fights. He's a fighter that works that way. And fun fact, out of all of the people, like if Leopard and him fight, she could probably beat him like in a fight one-on-one. She can find a way to beat him because even if you're super powered and things don't hurt as much, you still have eyes, you still have joints. And
Yeah.
even though you're super strong, I still can break the motherfuckers, right? The key thing is, Eno the Sage can beat almost anybody. Bluejay dislikes this man so much, somehow he always finds a way to beat him. Like Bluejay can always beat that guy. Like he can't beat almost anybody else, but that dude, he hates him. Like, because Eno really likes Leopard, and he's like, if there was a woman for me, she'd be it. And Bluejay's like, fuck you, that's my wife. No, my woman, not yours. So he doesn't like this dude. So that's one of the very few people, like if they get in a fight, the odds shouldn't work where Bluejay wins, but Bluejay somehow he gets that extra thing, that oomph that he needs.
That rage boost.
Yeah, that rage boost, that I hate you and you shouldn't win. And then he'll get that win. He's one of the only people that can lose to Bluejay considerably. Like if they were really fighting, and it's always a fight with Bluejay with him. Like it's never a friendly spar. It's like a black eye. Hey, shit happens.
Okay.
So he's the only dude like Bluejay does not like that.
Okay. So, dude, when I say I got a lot of notes for you, I'm going in. This is just the Bluejay page.
Wow.
No, this was good, dude. Obviously I've seen the indie deck cards, of course, super team and all of that. So, and of course the stuff that you sent me. So, but I didn't realize the upper limits here. So this is gonna be really cool to break down and really kind of brainstorm. Because again, it's all up to the randomizer wheel, but I'm excited to kind of go through my mind like, how would these kind of events and scenarios play out if he were to end up in a matchup against anybody?
Yeah, and here's the funny part too. I did a weird thing. This is a weird thing I've always had. When me and my brother used to play role-playing games, desktop role-playing games with the dice and everything. One of the weird things we had is we never wanted our characters to age or get old, right? So we tend to play dragons, elves, and almost every story we figured out a way to expand the lifespan of our characters. Like instead of living to 100, these dudes live to 1,000. Haha, screw y'all. So the thing about when the matter wave hit their dying, there was also a ship coming from another dimension in their world that was called the Chronocon. What is it called? The Panopticon. That one is called the Cryopticon. That one is a cryo ship, right? One of my characters named Iron Claw. He was basically Ferris the Iron Claw. He was coming in to their world at the same time the matter wave hit, and that time ship that he basically travels through basically affected that whole dime. So aging in that world, the average lifespan on Dime 4 is around 350 years, like a normal person. No powers, no nothing. If you're a superhuman person, times that by 3. And then if you go to Leopard and Bluejay, they are also, there's a trick also. If you notice, Bluejay's eyes are gold, and I've been drawing Leopard's eyes more gold also. That's the mark of an immortal. When I mean by immortal, these people have extraordinarily long lifespans naturally. And the idea of immortals in the Powerverse is they're witnesses. And the job of a witness is the Omni gods will at times say, okay, so should this dime survive? Should we do whatever? These people will come and talk on behalf of dimes and say, like, well, this dime does this, and this is why you shouldn't do bad things to them. So there are a bunch of characters within the Powerverse that are like that. There's another guy called Redacted. Redacted, he's also an immortal. When there's a guy called Jay Kelly, created a character called the Brother. The Brother, I looked in one of the issues, his eyes are gold.
Yes, okay,
right?
yeah.
Like the dude's an immortal. Like that's how I started. It's a visual sign. Like if you make your character have gold eyes, just think about their lifespan being far longer than most people. Like 1,000 years is like at least the minimum of their lifespan, if you're thinking about it.
That's crazy.
But yeah,
Okay.
it's a
Well,
fun fact.
before
It's a
we
fun fact. Huh?
Jesus. Okay.
Yeah.
And okay, okay. No, I was gonna have some more questions, but we do have to close out here. But
Yeah.
before we do that, let me get you tell the people where they can find you, where they can pick up your stuff,
Yeah.
website, social media, the whole nine.
You can find me in Char Comics and Facebook page. That's where you find some of that stuff. You'll find me on Instagram and on TikTok as IsoRod RJE. You'll find me on Twitch as IsoRod, and you'll find me on YouTube as IsoRod Studios. There's a section called iCast, ACAS. It's a playlist, and those are where I have a bunch of motion comics. Like there's a motion comic I did of Bluejay versus the United Nationalists. That's where I told you where he uses a spell, and the dude basically shoots him. So it's a motion comic of that. There's a lot of motion comics. There's also I did a motion comic called what's it called? The Steel or whatever. It's Bluejay, but it's a stick notes comic, but it's a animated comic of Bluejay fighting a bunch of robots, and you get to see a little bit more of that grab throw style of fighting that he does, kicks and all that things that he likes to do a lot. But yeah, but there's a lot. I have like 43 stories on there, motion comics, and there's some of them are like 3 or 4 parts, and you can actually find them. Like Trial of Omodara is one for the brother. There's one called Therapy for the brother. I've also done one called Brother Black and White, and then there's one called Brother Three Tails. But I have also one for a buddy of mine, Ahmed Kasami. He created a little story called Micha. It's a 4-chapter story where I did motion comics for that.
And it's
But
all on there.
it's all on there. That's in iCast. If you look into iCast, ICAS, it's a playlist, and you'll see all of those stories. It's about 44 different motion comics that I did for either promotions for comics or just telling stories for sections of comics that I liked that I wanted people to check out.
Dude, this is epic. Again, anybody that's listening on Spotify, watching this on Patreon, definitely check out Rodney. Check all the stuff he's got going on. Personal experience, the stories are awesome. I think I bought most of your collection
Yeah,
digitally. So I have everything.
yeah. I think the
I
only
think no,
one
actually,
Rush Parallels 2 may
no. Go
not be.
ahead. I think you're about to say the one I'm missing.
Yeah, because also if you want to get digital comics of my stuff and some of the Powerverse stuff, I have them on what do you call it, IsoRod Shop. It's on payhip.com, but IsoRod Shop is also another one you can look at. That's where I sell digital comics and stuff like that. I think I'm going to be adding in more sections for motion comics, animation, and other things on logo design and things like that. Like if you want a logo and you got $50, go to Vince. If you want a logo and you got $35, go to me because I'm cheaper. But the quality on Vince's stuff, when he's get logo sales for $15 and $20, bro, jump on those because yeah, Vince's stuff is like it's Bluejay and the Rush. My logo
A1.
on that book, that's from Vince. Vince made that. Rush Parallels, I made that. You'll see the difference in quality. but
Okay.
but I made that. But like one of my favorite things to do in comics is lettering. I do coloring. I'm getting better because I have a whole new technique that Vince kind of showed me. But yeah, lettering and lettering is one of my favorite stuff. Like I also do script assist and dialogue if people need that. Because there was one book I was gonna letter it for the guy, and then I saw his script, and then I saw the art, and I'm like, the art doesn't even match with your script. What the hell did this guy draw? So I spent 2 days rewriting, 2 to 3 days rewriting the script and the story, and asking him things about the stuff to make pages that were like empty have something on them. And then like it's called Violet Rising. I even renamed the book, called it Violet Rising. Created the logo, did the cover of that one, but I lettered it, but I rewrote the whole thing because using the information he gave me and following his plot so the story made sense. Because one of the things, like, I edit books, I'll ask my kids to read my stuff, and my kids will tell me, change the position of that balloon. It's like, that doesn't make sense. And
Mhm.
I'll go back and fix it, because if story logic doesn't make sense of how I got from point A to point B, it bothers the hell out of me. And I'm
Yeah.
just lettering the book, and I'm just like, this doesn't make sense to me. I can't, I have to go talk to the person. Like, can we fix this? Can I add like a balloon? Can I add a few captions here just to make this make sense? Because it bothers me so much when I can't follow along. So yeah. So I'm a fan of
So
captions. I
y'all
love
heard it. If y'all need
captions.
help
I love word balloons. I think balloons giving thought, it's a big thing that I
giving
like.
extra content,
Yeah. And whenever you ship a scene, you're supposed to tell us, especially if it's a new place, you're supposed to tell me where we're at. I'm not supposed to have to guess. But I read a lot of books.
yeah,
That's why there's a lot of books, man, I don't want to read their number twos. I'll read their number ones, and I'm just like, mm. I wanted to support
yeah.
you, so I got your number one, but that's just about as far as we're gonna go, because it just doesn't work for me.
No, that's fair. No, that's absolutely fair. No, so y'all hear it first, man. If y'all need lettering, if y'all need script assist, the whole nine, definitely check out Rodney at the sites that he mentioned, ISORod and all of that. Of course, the Facebook pages and whatnot. We'll have his information at the bottom of this episode for you guys to be able to just simply click the link and get to these different areas as well. As for us, of course, with Midnight Comics, it's been another awesome episode of Indie Breakdown here with Rodney. Thank you for coming on, by the way. You guys can find us everywhere, Midnight X Comics, except for on YouTube and Facebook, where it's just Midnight Comics. Obviously, if you guys on Patreon, you already know where you found us, Midnight Comics. But everybody that's listening to us on Spotify, yeah, Patreon, Midnight Comics. Outside of that, definitely follow. We have an Indie Breakdown, Indie Versus page, which is quickly growing, where we're doing weekly, just kind of fun battle realm matchups, if you will, doing different theme matches and stuff like that. So just hop in there, get to know some other creators, some other fans and stuff, and introduce yourself with your character or your favorite indie comic book character, and just learn more about what's going on in the indie community. So very excited for all the things that's coming out of there. And yeah, that's it for right now. And remember, until next time, everybody, midnight is coming.
Let me just give you my sign off. Keep your eyes, your ears, and your minds open. Later, y'all.